SCP-5194 Resurfaced Memortics. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-5194 is currently contained in Dry Dock A6 at Site-184. Dry Dock A6 is undergoing renovations to see the installation of a Faraday cage surrounding SCP-5194. Broadcasts originating from SCP-5194 are to be monitored, recorded, and stored on site for 30 days prior to deletion. As of transmission deviation September 7, 2020, no attempts to access the interior of SCP-5194 are to be undertaken. Footnote 1. See Addendum TD September 7, 2020. Description: SCP-5194 is an autonomous submersible bearing the designation SCP MC-3. While the submersible model is consistent with autonomous vessels in use by the Foundation since 1986, SCP-5194's designation code does not conform to any recorded Foundation vessel. Additionally, SCP-5194 emits a continuous looping shortwave radio broadcast consisting of 15 seconds of audio dots and dashes, which can be decoded utilizing International Morse code. Footnote 2. See Addendum MC-1 for transcription. 83 seconds of audio dots and dashes, which can be decoded utilizing Foundation Morse code cipher MUN4. Footnote 3. See Addendum MC-2 for transcription. 43 seconds of static. Recovery. SCP-5194's broadcast was detected by Foundation naval assets on September 4, 2020. Vessels redirected to identify and contain SCP-5194 were unable to intercept prior to SCP-5194 beaching 200 meters from Site-184, located on the eastern coast of Nova Scotia. Site personnel were then able to recover SCP-5194 with negligible public awareness. Addendum MC-1. The following transcription is broadcasted by SCP-5194 in International Morse code. SCP-WMC-DS3 transmitting in the dark. Encoded message to follow. Addendum MC-2. The following transcription is broadcasted by SCP-5194 and decoded using Foundation Morse code cipher MUN4. Footnote 4. Foundation Morse code cipher MUN4 was utilized by the Foundation between 1972 and 1993. Attention Foundation personnel. SCP-WMC-DS3 transmitting in the dark. Local data store exceeding maximum capacity. Requesting data transfer. Authentication required. Challenge: the moon pulls the sea. Response. Addendum TD September 7, 2020. Following containment of SCP-5194, Foundation personnel attempted to gain entrance to the vessel's interior. SCP-5194's access ports appeared to be locked from within, and approval was given to force access into SCP-5194. Upon attempting to cut into SCP-5194's dorsal access port, the regular broadcast ended, and the following message was broadcast in International Morse code. Following the conclusion of this transmission deviation and the cessation of entry attempts, SCP-5194 resumed its typical broadcasting. Failure to cease unauthorized breach attempt will result in erasure of local data storage. Due to the potential importance of data stored upon SCP-5194, the attempt to access the vessel's interior was halted, and no further attempts are to be made. The following information is restricted to Level 4 personnel only. SCP-5194. Object Class: Esoteric. Description: SCP-5194-A is an autonomous, submersible, mobile data storage and relay vessel utilized by the Foundation during R&D Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). SCP-5194 was launched by the Foundation on November 3, 1994, for the purpose of remote storage of memortic data transmitted from SCP-5194-B. Footnote 5. Data related to the independent existence of an individual's memories, functioning on a conceptual level, as theorized by Dr. Sylvia Morrison, 1993. On April 21, 1997, following the suspension of all projects conducted under Initiative Waning Moon (SETA), SCP-5194-A was given orders to self-terminate. SCP-5194 transmitted confirmation that local data stores had been cleared and that it would undertake immediate self-scuttling actions. No further transmissions from SCP-5194 were detected until its appearance near Site-184 on September 4, 2020. SCP-5194-B is an autonomous memortic sync capable of interpreting, translating, and transmitting memortic data into binary code. SCP-5194-B is currently located on the Earth's moon at selenographic coordinates 25.2103 degrees north, 39.0126 degrees west. SCP-5194-B was installed by the Foundation at its current location on October 17, 1997, and designed to operate indefinitely. Although deactivated during the suspension of Initiative Waning Moon (SETA), the physical disassembly of SCP-5194-B was deemed unnecessary and a misallocation of Foundation resources. Foundation response to the appearance of SCP-5194-A. Following the appearance of SCP-5194-A, an inquiry into Initiative Waning Moon (SETA) was opened. Foundation records have identified the following personnel as directly involved with the creation and operation of SCP-5194-A and SCP-5194-B. Efforts to locate Dr. Yost Minin for questioning are underway. Foundation personnel: Dr. Gregory Werner. Role in Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). Research Lead. Biological effects of Oros class amnestic. Current status: under house arrest. Foundation personnel: Dr. Sylvia Morrison. Role in Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). Research Lead. Applied Memortics. Current status: deceased. As of August 18, 2009. Foundation personnel: Dr. Oswald Grisdall. Role in Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). Junior Analyst. Memortic Data Conversion and Transmission. Current status: under house arrest. Foundation personnel: Dr. Yost Minin. Role in Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). Research Head. Initiative Waning Moon (SETA). Current status: location unknown. Last seen March 10, 2015. Addendum I-01. The following interview was conducted after the discovery and containment of SCP-5194-A. Audio transcription. Date: September 11, 2020. Note: Dr. Gregory Werner has been placed on house arrest following the opening of Ethics Committee investigation, case number 11A82N. Agent Murphy has been assigned with interviewing Dr. Werner on his affiliation with SCP-5194-A and SCP-5194-B. Audio begins. Agent Murphy. Dr. Werner, my name is Agent Murphy. Director Barrett has requested I interview you regarding your involvement in Foundation Research and Development Initiative Waning Moon Zeta. Dr. Werner. Dr. Barrett? What, are they not giving Rogers access to the Ethics Committee interviews? At the moment, I'm not too inclined to repeat myself to save Barrett some paperwork. I appreciate your candor, Dr. Werner. Unfortunately, recent events have necessitated me being here. Am I correct in assuming this is familiar to you? Agent Murphy offers Dr. Werner an envelope containing SCP-5194-CL4's file. Dr. Werner proceeds to read through the file before responding. Dr. Werner remains silent for a period of time before placing the documents on the desk. Well, this doesn't make sense. DS3, SCP-5194-A now, I suppose, shouldn't be operational. But even if it were, there's no reason why its data storage would be full. I'm glad to see that you are taking this seriously, Dr. Werner. Perhaps we can start at the beginning. What were, in your understanding, the goals of Waning Moon Zeta? It was to be an answer to a problem. The amnestics we've been using for decades, they're all dependent upon a subject's biological response. Waning Moon was an attempt to surpass this limitation utilizing memortic theory. You hadn't mentioned memortic theory in your previous interviews, Dr. Werner. I find that slightly alarming. Could you elaborate on this concept and its relation to SCP-5194? It was hardly relevant to the questions I was asked previously. Dr. Morrison was the expert on applied memortics, and as she explained it, an individual's memories are not solely biological. They exist on a different conceptual level. Memortic layer was the term she used. Agent Murphy begins to write in a small notebook. Dr. Werner leans backwards in the chair and watches him, smiling for a moment before resuming a neutral expression. You can continue, Dr. Werner. Well, she suggested that sentient individuals exhibit a force of attraction on this memortic layer, with the strongest bonds existing between them and memories essential to their self-identity. Sure, we had the tools to affect a person's ability to remember certain events, but conventional amnestics leave memories conceptually present and tethered to the subject, causing the problems we see with their long-term effectiveness. Returning to my initial question, Dr. Werner, what does this have to do with SCP-5194-A and B? Everything. Dr. Morrison theorized that objects with sufficient gravitational pull warp the memortic layer in a way analogous to their influence on space-time. She suggested that a black hole, for example, wouldn't just pull physical matter and light into it, but upon a certain threshold, an individual's memories and self-identity would be consumed and lost. It was Yost Minen's project, Waning Moon Zeta, that fully saw the possibilities this theory offered. He thought all they needed was to get that thing onto the moon. You're referring to SCP-5194-B? Foundation records state it was deactivated, but it's still there, isn't it? What you're calling SCP-5194-B was an attempt to amplify the natural force exerted by the moon on the memortic layer towards certain, targeted memories. Oros-class amnestics was the signal, a way to identify such memories. My understanding is that Oros-class amnestics was never widely utilized. Why was that? The whole thing didn't work. There was a breakdown in the chain of connections. We went through our funding, then the additional funding, Then command shut us down. Thank you for your time, Dr. Werner. If you recall anything further, please, do be in touch. End log. Note: I am suspicious of Dr. Werner's explanations surrounding the suspension of waning moon Zeta. Pending Director Barrett's approval, I am requesting access to restricted archives which may be relevant to my investigation. Approved. Addendum I-02. The following document has been attached to SCP-5194 CL4's file by Agent Murphy. Internal Memo: SCP-WMC Memortics Sync Tests, December 4th, 1997. From Director Sylvia Morrison. To Dr. Yost Minen. Date: December 4th, 1997. Dr. Menon, I am excited to report that operational tests of WMC-MS-1 are proceeding as scheduled and thus far appear promising. We have established a definite memortic binary link, and WMC-MS-1 and WMC-DS-3 are showing green across the board. I have Oswald running checks on the data flow to ensure nothing is lost there, and he's told me it's all looking stable. For now, at least. Our only hiccup came during testing. Our Leparata subject, 0004, appeared to enter a catatonic state following the administration of Ouros-class amnestics. Dr. Werner is reviewing the chemical compounds to determine the cause. Despite this, all indications suggest that the trial was a success. Data from 0004's memortic sphere seems to have been successfully extracted. We should be able to access it via WMC-DS3's transfer shortly. We're going to be able to see its memories. Signed, Dr. Sylvia Morrison. Addendum I-03. The following interviews were arranged by Agent Murphy's request to further question Dr. Werner. Audio transcription. Date: September 13th, 2020. Note: following my investigation into the suspension of waning moon Zeta, I have reason to question the account given by Dr. Werner. My intention is to address his role in the creation of Ouros-class amnestics. Audio begins. Agent Murphy. Dr. Werner, when we last talked, you had claimed the suspension of waning moon Zeta involved the failure of SCP-5194-A and B to operate properly. I believe you have intentionally misled me with that assertion. Dr. Werner. Agent Murphy, I'm unclear on what grounds you have for these accusations. Agent Murphy shows Dr. Werner the memo attached as Addendum I-02. I've also taken a closer look at your history in the Foundation, Dr. Werner. You've been working here for nearly 60 years, and in those decades, you haven't made many friends. Tend to keep to yourself. Avoid social gatherings and non-work-related functions. I hardly see how my personal preferences are relevant. Yes, I was getting to that. Although you've stayed distant from your colleagues, you've displayed a surprising attachment to your current position. You've turned down 3 on-site promotions and 4 transfer opportunities to other, larger Foundation sites. Some of these potential projects were directly tied to your personal work. We've already established you aren't staying here because of the people here. As I said before, I fail to understand how my personal life decisions are relevant to your inquiry. Well then, there's the matter of your research assistants. It appears that in your role as head researcher of Site 184 Aquatic Animal Wing, you've put in an unusual number of transfer and dismissal requests, the most recent of which has led the past to catch up to you. Dr. Werner, it is abundantly clear that you've been hiding something these past years. But why are you still bothering? You know as well as I do that you're likely to be dismissed from your position, and if I can be blunt, it won't be long until you take this secret to your grave. You have an opportunity here, Dr. Werner, to set the truth straight. I assure you, things will come to light in time. Wouldn't you rather it be done in your own words, Dr. Werner was silent for nearly a minute before speaking. It was my fault. I couldn't refine Oro's class amnestic to only target specific memories as we intended. I couldn't figure out the biological memortic transition, and because of that, SCP-5194-B would rip everything from an individual. All their memories, lived experiences, everything that could constitute a self-identity. Gone. Pulled hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. The subject wouldn't die, their bodily functions still worked fine, but they weren't people anymore. They were husks. We were shut down because we weren't amnesticizing people. We were annihilating them. Thank you, Dr. Werner. That will be all for today. End log. Audio transcription. Date: September 14th, 2020. Note: following the previous interview, Agent Murphy asked to speak with Dr. Werner again to address a concern noted in the first interview. Audio begins. Agent Murphy: Dr. Werner, thank you for agreeing to speak to me again. I was reviewing our first conversation and something you said caught my attention. You mentioned that SCP-5194 was a data store for Waning Moon Zeta. Can we revisit that? Dr. Werner: I suppose so, Agent Murphy. You expressed surprise regarding SCP-5194-A's recent transmissions, regarding the local storage exceeding its capacity. Why is that? Murphy, the existence of SCP-5194-A is a surprise to me. By all accounts, that vessel should be a derelict wreck on the ocean floor. But even if we had left it operational, it wouldn't explain SCP-5194-A reaching its memory capacity. Why is that? SCP-5194-A was built to store hundreds of thousands of hours of memortic data transferred from SCP-5194-B. By the time Waning Moon Zeta was scrapped, we hadn't utilized over 99.9% of the local storage that should only be filled when it receives a transfer from SCP-5194-B, which should only happen when SCP-5194-B extracts memories from individuals, which should only happen when Oro's class amnestics is administered, which, to my knowledge, hasn't happened since 1996. So, that would mean that SCP-5194-A is full of hundreds of thousands of hours of memories, and we have no idea where they came from. End log. Following this interview, SCP-5194's disruption class was elevated to Iki and its risk class elevated to warning. Dr. Gregory Werner has claimed no knowledge of the response to SCP-5194-A's challenge, arguing that this was only known to Dr. Yost Menon. Efforts to locate Dr. Menon are ongoing. Thank you for listening to SCP-5194 Resurfaced Memortics by Dodo Devil. If you enjoyed this SCP, please like and subscribe, and follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki, and vote up the article to support the author and the SCP Wiki as a whole.